tight space. Well, the same vision rule still applies. I don't want to look in front of my tire. I want to look at where I'm trying to go, right? And I can work on my balance here. I want to look out ahead here, keep my head out, look through the corner. Don't, if I look down in front of my bike, right in front of my front wheel, same thing here. I'm looking up at this gate because that's where I want to go. The motorcycle has a way, and your body has a way of figuring things out as long as you look in that direction. It's crazy how it works, but I promise you it does work. Okay, mistake number 5, let's get into this. So if you're a keen-eyed viewer, you may have been noticing in the previous section that I have the ABS and the traction control activated on my bike. I don't turn them off. So let's get into this. So the mistake number 5 is not using the rider aids, the electronic safety systems of your motorcycle. So adventure motorcycles, since the last 5 or 6 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, the newer generations of the traction control and the ABS are designed to help you off-road, and you don't need to turn them off, and they're designed to actually be used in the dirt and even in technical situations. So you have things like adjustable traction control, adjustable ABS with different modes. I'm going to show you how to use these to your advantage instead of just turning them off. So the mistake that people are making is you're saying, okay, I'm in the dirt, I need all that turned off. Well, that's absolutely wrong. On a big, heavy adventure bike, 500, 600 pounds in the case of this GSA, these things are tremendous help. So let me show you what I mean. So you have different riding modes, you have different ways of configuring it. You need to know how your motorcycle works and the different settings you have available to you. So on this GSA, I have Enduro mode and Enduro Pro mode, and I have Enduro set up with more intervention on the traction control, like better for street tires, which I have on now. I have Enduro Pro set up for more slip. The ABS in both those modes is set where in Enduro mode, I have ABS onto both wheels, actually. In Enduro Pro mode, I have it set where it's off-road ABS on this bike, meaning they turn the ABS off to the rear wheel so I can skid the rear wheel into corners and lock up that rear wheel. But I'm going to show you how effective ABS is when you leave it on and how effective traction control is. So why don't we actually go ahead and start off with the ABS. So I've got the bike in off-road mode, but I have the ABS on. So let me show you how quickly I can stop on a dirt surface with ABS engaged versus turning the ABS off entirely. So let's do that now. So one of the first ways I like to utilize ABS on a big heavy adventure bike, and I know this is not how you would ride a dirt bike, but when I have ABS activated on both wheels, keep in mind I have it in off-road mode, so it has a little less intervention. What I can do is, if I'm going a little hot through some of these corners in the dirt, instead of using my front brake, which sometimes can have a tendency to unsettle the front of the bike, I'll go ahead and drag my rear brake going through these corners. So let me show you what I mean. So like here, I can go full into my rear brake and see how I'm slowing down. Oh, I actually stalled the bike. I didn't use the front brake. You can use the front brake. Let me kind of show you that again. So coming in a little hot here, okay, hard on the rear brake, I can just mash that rear brake lever down. The bike is under control, it's slowing down, and I'm not, using my front brake, which sometimes can do funny things to my front wheel, although you should be using your front brake off-road, and I'll show you how to do that. Now let me show you how effective the ABS is with both wheels on. So I'm going to go, let's say 35 miles an hour. I'm going to do a panic stop. Now look how quickly I can stop, right? Let me do that again for you. So what I did was I mashed both brake levers and I came to a controlled stop without low siding or high siding the motorcycle. So when talking about using the ABS and traction control, another big factor here and the reason why it can be so helpful to leave these systems on is if you're using street tires or tires that are not really that aggressive and don't grip that well in the dirt or in slippery soil. So with these street tires that I have on the GS right now, I just don't have a lot of grip, and the ABS and traction control systems are allowing me to maximize the grip that I have and use all of it. So even going down this relatively steep hill here, I can get a whole lot of braking out of this bike, even with these street tires, and I'm not slipping around, right? So that's a huge advantage. Now, what about the situations where you're going to want to turn your ABS off? Well, there's never a situation where you want to turn it off the front wheel And some bikes, like my Africa Twin, it doesn't even let you turn it off on the front wheel, but you can turn it off the back. So the reason you might want to turn it off the back is if you're in really slippery, steep situations where you want full control of that rear brake, or you're a more advanced rider who wants to be able to slide the bike into corners and back the rear wheel in by sliding that back wheel, locking up the brake. But you have to know what you're doing if you're going to do that. But for a lot of beginner or even intermediate riders riding these large bikes, I really recommend, see there's my rear brake all the way, I really recommend using the ABS systems to your advantage. If you have an older adventure bike like the old R1200 GSs before 2013, the old KTM 950s and 990s, the old F800 GS, so anything before like 2015 or so, those ABS systems, you really couldn't use them off-road. They were so intrusive, but the modern ones you really can. All right, we're done with ABS. Let's talk about traction